Welcome back to the S4E Podcast. Now, there's a slightly different intro for this one. This episode features a guest interview with Wilf Sweetland, whose last name might sound familiar to those who know Tobi, as it's her dad, among many other impressive things that we covered during this episode. Now, for this one, we were on a very tight schedule. We had to make sure we were wrapped in under 30 minutes. So I'm here to redo the intro as it was very rushed in the original recording. So, without further ado, with us today is Wilf Sweetland, managing partner of Exit Films and father of one of our very own S4E interns and podcast hosts, Tobi. Wilf's career places him at the center of storytelling, creativity, production, and leadership, helping bring ideas to life through powerful visuals, a strong collaboration, and high-quality creative work. His journey with Exit Films is especially meaningful, as he first started there back in 1998 as a runner, before building an impressive career across the creative and production industry. Now, years later, Wilf returns to Exit Films as managing partner, bringing his career full circle and stepping into a leadership role with a company known for its commitment to craft, storytelling, and creative ambition. His impact, leadership, and industry experience can also be seen through his roles as managing partner and global CEO of Sweetshop, co-president of MADC, Melbourne Advertising, Design and Creativity, advisory board member for Humans of Agriculture, executive producer at Fred, National Board of Directors member for the Advertising Council Australia, and chair of Award, the Australasian Writers and Art Directors Association. Wilf has also contributed to some of the world's most respected creative awards and industry programs, including the ARIA Awards, Spikes Asia, D&AD, New York Festival's Ad Forum Award, and the London International Awards, where he has served as a jury member, jury president, mentor, speaker, and creative coach. At a time when film, advertising, and media are being transformed by social platforms, short-form content, new technology, and artificial intelligence, Wilf brings valuable insight into the things that still matter the most: strong ideas, human creativity, meaningful collaboration, and the ability to tell stories that people remember. So today, with the help of Zara and Tyren, let's learn some more about Wilf's incredible journey, the world of film and commercial production, and what it truly means to build a career from the ground up. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Never read so fast in my life.
That's quite an introduction. You've done a lot of research.
I've tried my best.
Very, very impressive. Congratulations on the show, guys. I'm a big fan. I'm really happy to be here. My first ever podcast. So I feel grateful to be sitting here with you all.
Fantastic to have you. There's a bit of I think there's a bit of nerves on my front to make sure that everything that we have is good to go, but we're also filming with iPhones, so as opposed to the multi-$1,000 cameras you'd be used to working with.
It's not the caliber of the equipment, but the quality of the content.
Well, hopefully the quality's good. Tyren, you've had some time to think of some questions. Have you got one that you would like to ask first?
All right. So, what were you doing before your current permanent positions? Because you've got a long work history, right? So I think everyone would be interested to see how you got into it, where you started.
It's a good question. It was a long time ago. I was, throughout school, from a very young age, throughout school and university, I was studying acting on the side. I wanted to be a performer, an actor in front of the camera in TV, movies, that sort of stuff. And I had also, after I finished university, I was working in the United States as a ski instructor in a ski resort called Jackson Hole in the state of Wyoming. And I'd still been doing acting, study, and a few sort of small acting jobs in Australia. But each winter, or each Northern Hemisphere winter, so that's basically November to March, I would go to America to teach skiing on my university holidays. While I was there, some clients that I was teaching regularly over a few years, that they were quite big in Hollywood. The father of the family was a lawyer, and he was Mel Gibson's lawyer and David Schwimmer's lawyer and a bunch of big Hollywood heavyweights. And the mother of the family, of the kids I was teaching, she was an actor's manager, like an actor's agent. And she looked after a lot of actors, represented actors such as Sally Field, Sybil Shepherd, Kenneth Branagh, and a whole lot of others. And I chatted with them about my dreams of becoming an actor, and they said, well, when this current ski season finishes, move to Los Angeles, you can stay with us for a bit, and we can help you get acting gigs. So I did I did just that. I finished up and I came back to Australia and sorted a few things out and then moved over there permanently and stayed with them for a little bit, found a place to live, started doing some acting classes or scene study classes which are really helping you with auditions. And then set about trying to get acting work. At the same time, I got a job in a pub. And for whatever reason, I didn't actually get as much help from then as I had thought I would. And time was dragging on a bit, and I ended up getting some work with the next door neighbour of where I was living on a film shoot called Austin Powers 2, which was filming in the backlots of Universal Studios in Los Angeles. And I really loved that sort of work. Then my work visa ran out in the United States. I moved back to Australia and I started making tea and coffee for people on commercial shoots here and thinking I can do that and still do acting on the side. So being a runner was a freelance job, making tea and coffee for people and doing little odd jobs on commercial shoots. And that gave me time spare to do auditions and to do, theatre stuff at night and so on. So it was really the beginning of it all.
So you've had your eyes set on this sector for a long time.
Yeah, it was, and I thought that I really liked the production work, so doing making tea and coffee or running errands or whatever, and I thought, maybe one day this could be perfect. I could become a producer of films, and then I can produce films that I can act in. So I thought I could merge both worlds. And then over time, the production work became much more consistent and the acting work sort of didn't pay very much and was pretty intermittent. So from a financial perspective, I just had to take a full-time job working in production and everything sort of grew from there.
We can certainly see where the connections matter and how it came into play here. It's a great example, I'd say.
Yeah, because you do hear a lot of sort of crossover, the more high-profile actors and all that sort of stuff, they immediately go into production. What's the allure there for them to kind of move away from being in front of the camera and more being behind it?
You're talking about actors who become directors and that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
So, I think it's just sort of develops over time, really. It's a bit of a calling, a lot of actors, when they're starting out, they're helping other people, helping their mates make films or TV shows or whatever, and doing that sort of stuff, so it may not be too foreign. But also, as a person develops in their career, they might drift towards something else or feel that they've got a lot of creativity and they want to start controlling things a bit more or telling a story in a certain way and feel they can do both.
Absolutely. Because as an actor, I'd imagine you're kind of at the whim of the script, right? You don't really have a lot of input, maybe especially on the lower budget stuff as well.
Yeah,
so to kind of be able to take control and...
Yeah, I think certainly once actors get to a certain level, they have a bit of standing and pull, if you like.
True, yeah.
And then they can really influence a script, influence it. They'll have a say, like the top Hollywood actors would have a say on who the director is.
Right.
Who the other cast members are.
Okay.
So, like Timothy Chalamet, for example, might say, I'm only going to do this project if it's that director, or I don't like that director, so I'm not going to do that project, or, those sorts of things.
Amazing. We'll move on to the next question, Zara, if you don't mind.
What did the hardest moments teach you?
I think going through the hardest moments is a difficult time, but after you've gone through them, after time has passed, you look back and think it was very tough, but perhaps it wasn't as big as what it felt at that time. There's a good saying that my father told me when I was going through a hard moment at one point, and he said, it was a quote from Winston Churchill, who was an English Prime Minister around the Second World War, and he said, pardon my French here, but he said, when you're going through shit, keep going. And the meaning behind that is when you're going through a really tough time, the only option you have is to keep going because you'll get to the other end. If you stop, you'll never get through it. So I've sort of lived by that mantra. And going through hard times, you just need to put one foot in front of the other. Take one day at a time, break things down to as small a problem as you can, and then work through that little problem. And then when you've done that, work out what the next little problem is and work through that little problem. And then all of a sudden, you've got through a lot of these little problems and you finally realise you've got through the whole big problem.
And it's certainly great advice for not getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, breaking things down to their smallest components can take something away from being a really big thing to your focus just on a really small thing. And then if you think, I can just achieve this one little thing, then I'll move on to the next thing. I really like that outlook on life, like when, tackling problems and stuff like that.
Of course.
My Monday class, we talk about stacking little wins, just the tiny little things, like even if it's, getting your L's, if that's the thing that is the hard task at the moment, well, there's 4 modules in that learner's thing, just one little thing at a time. Just do one module, come back the next week, do the next module. It like Wilf was saying, it kind of, rather than going, oh my God, this huge task is unachievable and all that, it's just, compartmentalize.
Completely agree. It's a really great way to go to tackle anything. And, I use it every day.
Yeah, there you go. I might ask a question talking about sort of difficulties in your job. So there's obviously a delicate balance in commercial filmmaking. You're making art that also has to sell something. So how do you work through the issues that arise when trying to find that balance?
Again, it's another very good question. There's a lot of elements that go into getting a creative idea for an ad onto screen. You've got the client who needs to sell product. That's why they're making an ad. Wanting it to be as impactful and effective as possible while representing all of their brand elements and so on. You've got the advertising agency who are employed by the client and they've come up with the idea and they want it to be very successful for their client because then they'll get repeat business. They also want it to be successful for them so they can get business from other clients. And then you have the director who's on our side, on the production, who also wants it to be very successful so they can get more work. But art or creativity is very subjective.
Of course.
It's not universal. There are universal things that everyone agrees on, of course, but a director might have a different opinion to an advertising agency and the agency might have a different opinion to the client. And there's often a bit of a dance about being able to understand what the different objectives, and sometimes they're hidden.
Of course.
So understand what they are, objectives and hidden objectives, and then also working out how to mesh all of those together and smooth the way for everyone to get what they want. And that's really that's a very big part of the role of a producer or an executive producer in the commercial production space.
For sure.
Is understanding and assessing what all those elements are and how you're going to find a path forward through that.
Yeah, because one of my other questions is about not letting collaboration turn into compromise, right? Which I would imagine that happens a lot in your field, like, the advertising agency or whoever's paying the bill, right, thinks they have the strong arm of, and the say of, the be all end all, but you guys have the vision. So yeah, I'd imagine that's quite a complex sort of line to walk, right?
It is. It's a very, it occupies a lot of time and a lot of energy and resource throughout the process of making a commercial. And sometimes you might attack it in a way that the director might think, okay, well, there's these 3 things I want to change and I'll rank them. I have to change this. This is, I want to change that, but it's not too bad. And this one, I kind of want to change, but I'm not really wedded to it.
Yeah.
So you might push really hard on the ones that you don't really care if they change or not, and then you relent and say, okay, we won't change it, we'll leave it as it is, but we have to change these other ones. So there's a story of some famous French artists in I think it was the 1700s, and there's a story that one particular artist, someone like Van Gogh, Vincent van Gogh, or something like that. I mean, he was Dutch, but it's somewhere in that realm. And they would do commissioned paintings, which means that a rich person would ask them to do a paint, do me a painting. I want to have one of your paintings on my wall. And I want it to be this, this and this. And the artist would make the painting not quite what they wanted, more what the artist wanted, but they would put a little white puppy in the corner of the painting. And the rich person who commissioned the painting would come in and say, it's not quite what I wanted, and what's this white puppy doing in here? And the artist would say, well, I think the white puppy really adds a lot to it and all that sort of stuff, and the whole painting is beautiful, but I feel really strongly we should have this white puppy in here. And the rich person would say, but it doesn't make any sense why there's a white puppy. I don't want the white puppy in my painting. And this would go back and forth for a while. And then after a while, the artist would say, okay, you win. I'll paint out the white puppy, and here's your painting. And the rich person would feel that they've won a battle and got rid of the white puppy, and they'd be happy with the painting, which turned out to be the artist's original vision. So you're sort of distracting the paying client with a red herring or with some item that you're happy to let go of, to give them a sense,
Yeah, like they're in control of the final product.
Yeah, this is an overblown example, but it's not it doesn't happen all the time, but just there's rare moments where that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I would imagine for the most part there's a lot of trust put in you guys to just do what you do well. You've got the gallery, you've got the history, you've got the time in the industry to sort of prove that you know what you're doing. But yeah, every now and then you got to add a white puppy in the mix, right?
That's what they say. I mean, it's a nice story, but it's a very commercial business, and ultimately the client needs to have it their way, and so we have to work within that realm, to make sure everyone's as happy as possible.
Yeah.
We want to make sure people are happy, otherwise we don't get more business.
Right, absolutely. Fantastic. Nice little insight to the industry. It's pretty cool. Tyren, would you mind taking the next one?
All right. You've actually knocked out a lot of my questions just from the other ones.
Okay.
So, what do you say is the age bracket you often work with or for? Younger creatives or experienced professionals?
It's a good question. I guess the younger end of the age bracket would be mid-20s, I think, and the upper end of the age bracket would be 60s, early 60s. The majority of people are probably in the 30 to 50 range, I would say.
Do you feel like the different generations have brought different ideas to the table?
Very much so, yeah. Working with younger advertising creatives in that 25 year range is very different to working with the older creatives in the late 50s kind of thing. You think the older creatives in the, like I'm 53, but creatives at sort of my age, we didn't get mobile phones until mid 90s, and the internet came in 1996. And so we grew up with all that stuff when we were, late teens, 20s, that kind of thing. And then digital cameras didn't come in until 2005, 2006 kind of thing in terms of starting to film with them. Then film editing software wasn't really available to anyone on their computer like it is now until sort of around that time. So we all had to learn that sort of stuff as people who are older, whereas advertising creatives who are now 25, they've grown up with access to digital cameras, any editing software they like on their computers, probably using it in grade 6 at school, year 7 at school, and so it's much more intrinsic to them. They haven't really had to put the time into learning it. It's a lot harder to learn things the older you get. But the other big element is social media, because that didn't really come in until 2011, 2012 kind of thing. So again, all the younger creatives who are 25, they've grown up with social media from the very beginning, really understand its machinations and how it works and everything like that, and what the memes are, how long they last, and so on. And a lot of that sort of plays into advertising, what happens on social media, ideas and memes and skits and jokes and stuff like that. And so the us in the older generation, it just doesn't you just don't understand it as easily or as quickly.
You have to put a lot of trust into the younger generation for that, right? Like just because they might just know what they're talking about, or they might know what their fellow friends and younger generations might want. Like that feels like a lot to sort of let go of as someone who's running the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We have people at Exit who are digital natives, is what we call them. You know, grown up with social media as influencers and that sort of stuff, and they talk about stuff, and I have no idea what they're talking about. But for us as a business, we need to make sure that we're appealing to all different levels of the advertising landscape in terms of ages and styles and taste and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it has to make sense, and I have to understand why it's important to do it and what that means if we're going to put money behind it from a business perspective.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of not unsettling, but a little bit, you're like, I guess this is right, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, we're like a big family at Exit, so there's no question that everyone's got our best interests at heart.
That's right. Yeah. I guess you wouldn't put someone on the team if they didn't sort of know the game, right?
Yeah,
They didn't know
totally.
what they were talking about. So,
Yeah.
Beautiful. Zara, would you mind answering this? Asking, rather.
Who is the biggest celebrity you've worked with?
The biggest celebrity.
You dropped some pretty big names early on, so
Yeah, I mean, I've never worked with Timothée Chalamet, but one of our film directors just did the Adidas World Cup spot, which has got Timothée Chalamet in it.
Right, okay.
Which is about a 5-minute spot with a whole lot of football superstars and Timothée Chalamet. So I haven't worked with him, but I haven't thought about celebrities for a while. We've done work for Sharon Strzelecki. She is Kimi, look at me, Kimi, look at me.
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So we've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was a big hit. Kim Kardashian. Who else? A bunch of others. We recently did a spot, a Tourism Australia job with Robert Irwin.
Oh, wow.
And we did a Bonds commercial with Robert Irwin as well, where he's singing in a backyard. Have you seen that one?
I think that one went. That one was all over people's For You page, right? That was
pretty
huge.
big.
Yeah, it's hard to miss that one.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah, there was a crocodile in there, there was a big python in there, and Robert in his boxers.
Yeah.
Sitting in a chair.
What more could you want?
Certainly attention grabbing.
It was very attention grabbing. There was a lot of people reposting it and posting memes and so on TikTok and whatever. And that commercial received 8 billion impressions within 24 hours globally.
That's nuts. I mean, it was everywhere, like even on like the radio stations and stuff like that, or the drive in and out from here. It's like all they were talking
Everyone
about.
was talking about it.
There you go. Wow, so you're behind that. That's huge. How's Robert to work with?
He is the absolute nicest guy.
Could only imagine.
I mean, people say that, and I read a bit about him before we did the job with him. But he came onto set, and we've got all the crew standing there, probably about 30 people, that sort of stuff. We were in Goulburn in New South Wales, and it was quite cold. It was a little bit drizzly. And he came on to set when we were ready to film him, and he went around to every single person and shook their hand and said, "G'day, my name's Rob. Really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time." And he said that to every single person. And his manager was with him. And I said to his manager afterwards, I said, what a lovely guy. Does he always do that? And he said, he always does it. And when he finished on the show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which he'd been filming in South Africa, and the crew was 250 people, he did the same thing to every single person, went round. And he is just such an absolute gem of a guy. Lovely, respectful. Some kids in the neighbourhood found out that we were filming him in this backyard in Goulburn, and as we sort of finished and we were all moving out to the street, these kids came running up and he was straight to them, got down on one knee, was talking with them, asking them about what their favourite animal is and that sort of stuff, signing autographs, taking photos. Just cannot speak highly enough of him. Yeah, really
absolutely.
down to earth, super, super lovely guy.
It's sort of everything that I think we all kind of hoped for,
Yeah.
Like obviously Steve Irwin, global, loved by everyone, and it's nice to see that immediately replicated,
Yes.
in his own son. So Yeah, fantastic.
You often wonder whether it's people are putting on an act. Celebrities are
100%.
putting on an act if
Yeah.
they're really nice and they're not, behind when the camera's off, they're a different person. Not the case with him.
Yeah. I feel like you can read that, right? Like in your research, and fair enough for doing it, because you would also have that like, I wonder if this guy's, But yeah, I feel like you hear too many stories about Robert Owen and just go, of course he's a nice guy.
So sometimes when you work with sports stars in particular, footballers or whatever, you might say, okay, we're going to have them for 4 hours to film the commercial, and they might turn up late by an hour, and then they might spend an hour getting ready, and then they come out and think, okay, I've only got half an hour. And you're like, but hang on, the agreement was 4 hours. I'm like, well, I'm changing it. So you do come across people like that, which is tough, but you have to deal with it and work around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of tight time limits, we've got 5 minutes. So, Tyren, would you mind finishing us out with the last question?
I was going to ask if there was anyone that you worked with that stands out that you want to shout out, but I feel like you might have just done that.
Well, I can answer that differently as well. So when I started as a runner making tea and coffee at Exit Films, where I'm back now, a guy who was in the role, he got promoted within Exit, and I took his role. And his name is Greg Fraser, and he had studied photography at RMIT, and he had got a job at Exit Films. And he went on to leave Exit and become a cinematographer, so a person who operates the camera and who designs the lighting and that sort of stuff. And he has since gone on to achieve a lot in his career, including winning an Academy Award for filming Dune, the first Dune film, and he filmed the second Dune film. He's filmed Star Wars Rogue One. He filmed The Assassination of Jesse James. He's filmed a film called Lion with one of our directors called Garth Davis, which is a really amazing film, Australian-made film. He's filmed Batman, Star Wars, like a whole lot of things, and he's just incredibly, incredibly impressive in terms of what he's achieved. And I still very much remember us mucking about together at Exit, doing little jobs and that sort of stuff.
So, I guess seeing from your position now as I guess one of the big leaders of Exit, how does that feel to sort of see someone, or maybe multiple people throughout the team over the years, kind of leave Exit bittersweetly, but go on to do the thing that they love doing at a high level?
It's amazing to have been part of that from the very beginning. When I started Exit, it was only a couple of years old, and it became this amazing place. And a lot of those people are still involved with Exit.
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
So to be back amongst it and to see, I guess, what Exit has produced in terms of creatives and people who've gone out into the world and making films and so on. I mean, a lot. There's 3 directors who've made Hollywood films. We've got an Academy Award-winning cinematographer. We've got a couple of other cinematographers out there in the world that have come through the Exit ranks, and they're considered some of the top cinematographers in the world. It's really amazing to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And there's a real sense of pride. We're over 30 years old and still going strong. And with me coming back into Exit about 18 months ago, I hope to be able to continue that legacy.
It sounds like it's in very good hands, and it sounds like anyone would be sort of lucky enough to be able to work with Exit. So, yeah. Well, we'll let you go, Wilf. It's we're crunching for time. So, Tyren, Zara, thank you guys very much for being on the show. And I feel like, if you don't mind, there's a lot more that I think we can. We've only just started tapping this well, so if you got some time moving forward, I feel like there's a lot more that we can talk about, and it would be great to if we do get a chance to have you on again.
Yeah, I'll be very happy to come back for part 2.
Of course, absolutely,
for sure. Really enjoyed the experience. Thanks for having me on. Love the questions. Very, very good questions. So yeah, let's work out another time.
Wonderful. No worries at all. We'll let you go.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks for listening, guys.